Kyle Busch just keeps on winning. Denny Hamlin spoils the streak. Tyler Reddick in a Dolly Parton car. And for the first time this season, Corey breaks double digits in the Pick'em Challenge. He's Corey. I'm Chris. This is the C+J Speedway Review. Welcome back to another edition of the C+J Speedway Review, the Texas in Review and Bristol Preview. I'm Chris Burns. You know all the different podcasts that I do and all the different things I love to do, especially this. But why don't we just say hello to the man of the hour, the tower of power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, Chelsea's ride or die. Please shave the neckbeard and no, you cannot have a liter of cola with the biggest cat in history. His name is Corey Huffnagel. Corey, how the hell are you tonight?
Well, I'm doing pretty great, yeah, now my cat's being impatient, unfortunately. So I probably say I accidentally ruined Lulu's Fame of Fortune, and no, I mean everything's all good, and what a great race! Well, good racing this weekend out in Texas, and of course, again we saw Kyle Busch winning 2 out of 3, and then Sundays he just can't get it done and so forth. But and the only thing that's right now that's starting to irritate me the most is what we saw on Friday in qualifying. Again, we saw the same little scenario that happened that we saw at California, that we saw at all these other tracks. And, of course, NASCAR has to come out with a rule saying, okay, guys, you can only do this, this, and that, whatever. And then, of course, the guys just, say like, oh, we're going to stay on pit road until it's like literally about 90 minutes left and whatever it is and so forth. But honestly, like, I really think it's time for NASCAR to say, like, you know what, guys, we're going to go to single car qualifying. You've already had your chance, many times before. And this is the reason why we're taking it away, because you guys blew it for all the fans and so forth. But I think if they're going to go to single car qualifying, I think it should only be pretty much 2 rounds. You should have everybody qualify. And then after that, round 2, you'd have the fastest 12 that go for the pole. I think that would be a really good qualifying format to do it, but I don't know. I think NASCAR's got has to do something with this qualifying fiasco, because if we see this again, not only this weekend but at every other track except Daytona and Talladega, because they do single car qualifying, this is what we're mostly going to be talking about like every week.
And the problem that I saw was Ryan Newman pulling out and then just pulling right back in. And basically putting the block on Clint Boyer getting out. There's nowhere to go. If you're going to pull out, you're making a commitment to get on the track. If you're going to pull that car out and then you try to ease it in behind somebody else, no, they're set up too close together. And if you try that in Bristol, it's a log jam. I never was a fan of the multi-car qualifying. Still don't like it. You're right. I think your way would be a great way, but maybe, once NASCAR figures it out, we'll see exciting qualifying again.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I do like the qualifying format that we have now. It's just that, I don't like, when everybody has to sit on pit road, just waiting for, the time to almost expire. And let's be honest, the guys have to get on the track for like 2 laps, make a qualifying lap and then make it around until like before the clock hits 0 and so forth. But I mean, I think this is what they should do. Like, even if you do pull out a line and if you end up stopping, then, your time's disallowed and you have to start in the back.
I like the idea and I support it. So what other news notes and other goings on do we have before we talk about Texas?
Okay, so not only the Cup Series 2020 schedule was released about a little over a week ago, but today the Xfinity and the Gander Outdoor Truck Series 2020 schedules were revealed this week. So going on, I want to move to Xfinity. So of course the championship finale is going to be on November 6th at Phoenix, and a little bit of a kicker for you guys. So the Xfinity series is going to be going back to Martinsville for the first time in about 25 years, if I'm doing the math right. The last time the Xfinity guys raced in Martinsville was back in 2006, which was won by none other than Kevin Harvick that weekend. But not only they went there in 2006, but they used to go there like back in like the 80s and and then I think they stopped racing after like the 90s and so forth. So that's one little piece of excitement news on the Xfinity side, and then of course the Truck Series side. The Truck Series is going to be making a return to Richmond for the first time since 2005, which was won by none other than Mike Skinner back in the day. And not only that, when the Truck Series first started in 95, they used to race at Richmond all the way up to like 05 and so forth. So reading on, so the postseason for the trucks, I want to say, or Xfinity, opens up September 18th at Bristol, and we'll have Vegas and, of course, the Charlotte Roval. The round of 8 will be Kansas, Texas, and Martinsville. And then, of course, the Truck Series opener for 2020 for the playoffs will begin at Gateway and will consist of tracks of Canadian Tire Motorsports Park and Bristol Motor Speedway. And then, of course, the round of 6, they will have Vegas, Talladega, and Martinsville. And then, of course, to answer the other question for the doubleheader series for Pocono next year. So it looks as if it's going to be Cup and Trucks on Saturday, and then Xfinity and Cup on Sunday, from what it looks like. But honestly, like with the 2020 schedule for all 3 series, this has me very excited, and I cannot wait to see how this plays out next season.
Yep, and the trucks going back to Richmond is awesome. The last good truck race I saw was at Richmond in September 2004. Believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't even remember who won. That was after a good 13 hours of driving, and we fell asleep at the beginning of the race, and the flyover woke us up. So thank God for the flyover, and we saw a pretty fantastic race under the lights in Richmond. That was the Rock and Roll 400 weekend. Matt Crafton. Oh, who was in the 2 car? Can't remember who had the Xfinity car, but Kevin Harvick.
To answer that question, in the 2 car back in the day was Ron Hornaday.
Yes, and they all drove Kiss-themed cars, which I had die-cast of all of them until somebody stole them, the rat bastards. Anyway, but no, the trucks are made to run at Richmond. It's relatively flat. It's a short track, a lot of bumping, a lot of banging, and you can carry a lot of speed out of the corners. The Xfinity guys going back to Martinsville, again, it just proves your overall worth and talent when you run a slightly different model than the Cup car. But if you know you can do well in the Xfinity Series at Martinsville, moving up and doing it on the Cup is going to be just as fun.
Indeed.
And this weekend, look out in Bristol, the pink and white Dolly Parton mobile. Current champ Tyler Reddick is going to drive the all Dolly Parton themed race car. I think it's great.
I'm excited too.
Friend of mine is a huge Dolly Parton fan. Still can't figure out why. He's a 37-year-old man, and it's not something you hear every day. But to see that little video they put out this afternoon about that car, really good stuff. I know Tyler Reddick's looking forward to it. I read his blurb earlier today. It's always fun when the drivers can take a car like that where the general public look and go, oh, God, why? But it's more positive attention on the sport. I think it sorely needs it right now.
Absolutely, it needs it.
And what we need now is to talk about Texas.
Yes.
Here we go, guys. This is this week's show. We're not rerunning past shows, but Kyle Busch won the truck race again. Led a whole lot of laps again.
Yep.
And he takes home the money again. But the beautiful thing about this was, and I saw them put this up on the screen at the end of the race. I swear to God, NASCAR announcers listen to this show because they say, if you're one of those people out there screaming and crying that Kyle Busch is taking money out of the young guy's pocket, he was the youngest guy in the top 5.
I couldn't even believe that.
I know. I thought Friesen was way younger. It turns out he's 2 years older than Kyle Busch.
Something I'd never even seen before.
I know. But, hey, you know what? At least they made a mark on this one, and nobody can cry that Kyle Busch took money away from the young kids. Corey seems to be having some home difficulties.
Yeah, there's some stage producers. I don't know what's going on right now, but they're just wondering if the cameras are running fine, and I'm just telling them it's going great. And then I'm just like, go, go now. Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, bye. Thanks for coming. I have a show to do, so.
It's nothing that it's nothing that we on the other end of these cameras aren't used to, because, man, in 4 years of doing the Loki and Jabroni show, interruptions are part of the game. At least no one's screaming out like it's the Jerry Springer show right now.
Right.
But, man, what a weekend for Kyle Busch. We'll start with the truck race. He takes that home. Stuart Friesen second, Johnny Sauter third, Grant Enfinger fourth, Matt Crafton fifth. Now we get some young guys. Tyler Ankrum sixth, Ross Chastain seventh, Tyler Dipple eighth, Brennan Poole ninth, and Ben Rhodes is 10th. Spencer Boyd 11th. Moving on down the line, Todd Gilliland 14th, Garrett Smithley 15th, Jennifer Jo Cobb 18th, Brett Moffitt 19th, Bubba Wallace 20th. Oh, my boy Sheldon, don't call me Apollo Creed 22nd, Nemechek 25th, Austin Hill 27th, and Harrison Burton, our last notable, 31st. I'm going to start this one. I'm going to give my happy to Stuart Friesen for two reasons. One, when you come in second behind Kyle Busch in a truck race or an Xfinity race, you may as well consider yourself the winner. And it propelled him. That gave him a really good points boost to take over the top of the standings. My sad for this one, where did I write it down? It's over here somewhere. Yes. Our lone truck winner this year for this series, Austin Hill. What a terrible run for that kid. 27th, DNF, and takes a hit in the points, too. He dropped a couple spots. Again, we're 6 races into the season. This kid can bounce back. He's already locked into the playoffs. All he has to do now is collect a bunch of strong runs, so he's not going into the playoffs in a disadvantage in last place.
Yeah, see, my happy is going to be the same as well. You know, not only changing an engine and starting at the rear of the field on Friday night. This team performed pretty good, and I guess Friesen said if he would have had a really good restart, if he would have got right up on the 18, he would have had a shot. My sad, I'm definitely going to have to go to Harrison Burton. I mean, I really want to see this kid perform pretty well. I know he finished 31st this past weekend out in Texas, and you look at his finish the first 5 races. I mean, he only has like 2 top 10s, but yeah, other than that, his only worst finish outside the top 10 was pretty much 18th at Daytona.
Oh, all right. Let's move right along because we got some good news for Corey this week. Here's your truck standing. Stuart Friesen tops the list at 200. Grant Enfinger second with 194. Ben Rhodes third with 184. Johnny Sauter fourth with 178. Brett Moffitt fifth with 174. Matt Crafton sixth with 171. Race winner Austin Hill from Daytona is in 7th, 151 and a win. So he is locked in. We put the little star next to his name. Todd Gilliland 8th at 149. Harrison Burton 9th at 148. And Apollo Creed slips into the top 10. Sheldon Creed with 133. The kid's moving and grooving, man. I like this kid. But in the picks, I don't like him so much. I took Sheldon Creed as my sleeper. He finished 22nd. Took Kyle Busch as my lock. He finished first. That's a total of 23. You divide that. My finish this week just outside the top 10 with 11.5. Corey took Brett Moffitt as a sleeper. He finished 19th. He took Kyle Busch as his lock. He finished first. That's a score of 20. Corey, inside the top 10. 1 point on the Truck Series. Congratulations. You are the Truck Series winner this week.
Thank you very much.
And now we move on to the Xfinity Series. No, you are not watching a rerun of past week's shows. Kyle Busch won the Xfinity Series, guys. Kyle Busch took home the hardware. Kyle Busch took home the money. I know last year we had a little fun. Kevin Harvick wins 8 plus the All-Star race for a total of 9. Kyle Busch wins 8. We said, who's going to win? Who else is going to win? We got to get some new winners. Well, we're starting to say that on the Xfinity Series as well as the Truck Series. But Kyle Busch is running out of starts. So if he's going to be out there, he's going to make him worthwhile. And he takes this one with a little bit of a challenge. Yes, so not really, from Tyler Reddick.
Well, not only a challenge from Tyler Reddick, but also a challenge from Christopher Bell. And if you look at it, I mean, it looked as if it was going to be a Christopher Bell or Tyler Reddick type of race. And from what it looks like, Kyle Busch, he was in the top 5, but I would say that he didn't have like the winning car like to take home the win, but had that late caution not come out, and then of course, he wouldn't even got the win in the first place. But yeah, I mean, you could just look at it. I think Bush kind of just got in at the right time, and he snuck in like right at the end, and of course you look at Christopher Bell. I mean, he led 127 out of 200 laps. I mean, just think about it. I mean, good run for him. I mean, kind of came up short as well, but one thing I want to take away is let's talk about Ryan Sieg. Not only he finished in the top 10 this past weekend, but this guy ends up winning the stage 2 in the race on Saturday. Stage 2. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Ryan Sieg is out front, and he's in the possible Catbirds, winning the second stage. I mean, I thought it was impressive. I mean, again, this is a team that, that's going to be in the top 10 almost every week. And then, of course, they could get that first win no matter what.
Oh, yeah. And it's, again, anybody's ball game. And again, I'm not picking, but when Kyle Busch isn't out there, it really is anybody's ball game. I look at the top 10 from this past week, and we'll go over it in just a second. You look, there's all championship contenders. This year, I can see all 10 of these drivers, or I'm sorry, 9, when you take Kyle Busch out, and even going down to 11th for the 22 of Austin Cindric. All 10 of these guys have a really good shot at being championship contenders this year. Ryan Sieg being one of them. Again, he's 9th in points right now. He's not that far when you look at it. It will take 2 points to leapfrog Gragson and 5 points to leapfrog Jones in 7th and 8th, respectively. Still a bit more of a gap to Justin Allgaier. But again, any given weekend, Ryan Sieg just needs a good run, keep moving himself up the ladder. You stay close to that top 3 and you don't have a win, you're going to sneak your way into the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we saw out of everybody the last few years with this point system. And, you get one guy, that points his way in, with top 5 finishes and so forth. But I think if you look at it, consistency isn't going to win you a championship. It's mostly winning, and that we've learned the last few years.
Oh, yeah, this isn't the days of Terry Labonte winning 2 races and top 10ing his way to a championship, or Matt Kenseth winning 1 race and top 5ing and top 10ing his way to a championship. The emphasis now with this new playoff system, well, not necessarily new, since 2014, puts the emphasis on win, 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 which it should be. There's no reason, you go to other sports. Well, you tied here, and, hockey's probably the closest thing to it. Those points kill me. Just go by the standings and let them run. But I don't run hockey. I don't run NASCAR. But I am going to run down this week's finishing order. Once again, Kyle Busch takes home the win. Tyler Reddick in 2nd. Christopher Bell 3rd. Chase Briscoe 4th. Jeb Burton in 5th. Michael Annett 6th. Justin Haley 7th. Jeffrey Earnhardt, my man, coming in 8th. John Hunter Nemechek 9th. And Ryan Sieg is 10th. Other notables, Cindric 11th. Allgaier 12th. Gragson 13th. Noah Gragson. He's making me a believer. Kaz Gralla 18th. Greg Galding 21st. Jeremy Clements 26th. Timmy Hill 28th. Nobody's favorite, BJ McLeod 32nd. Cole Custer disappointing 34th place DNF. And of course, back in his favorite spot, last place, Jeff Green doing what he does best. So why don't you give us a happy and a sad?
So my happy for this one, I'm going to have to go to Jeb Burton. I mean, finishing in the top 5 for Junior Motorsports. I mean, this is a kid that had talent. And when I watched him in the Truck Series not many years ago, he ended up getting only 1 win in that series. But I really think this is going to be an opportunity for him. And I think this could be a possibility for him to get his first win with this team. So my sad is going to have to go to Brad Keselowski. I mean, of course, he was going to be one of the guys that was going to contend with Kyle Busch and everybody else until he gets caught up in an accident and so forth. But disappointing run for that 12 team.
You want to just a little bit of how bad can it be to be Brad Keselowski this weekend? He ran 2 races, finished in the same spot in both races.
Yeah.
36th, poor guy. I'm going to give my happy to Tyler Reddick. Not only does he take home a 2nd place, an almost victory. When you're out there against Kyle Busch in the Xfinity Series, again, consider this a win. He puts himself at the top of the point standings with his impressive run. My sad is going to go to Cole Custer. First DNF I've seen out of this guy in a really long time. And not that it shook up his points a lot, but he did take a hit. He was second last week. He's third this week. But, again, he's one of the guys with a win. He's going to move on. He's just got to keep himself more toward the top than have more weekends like this where he's going to drag to the bottom.
Absolutely.
All right, so here we go with the points breakdown. Tyler Reddick sits atop the perch with 268. Christopher Bell second with 256 and a win. Cole Custer third, 226 and a win. Michael Annett fourth, 209 and a win in a virtual tie, with Austin Cindric fifth with 209. Justin Allgaier sixth with 204. Brandon Jones seventh with 194. Noah Gragson eighth, 191. Ryan Sieg ninth, 190. John Hunter Nemechek 10th with 179. Chase Briscoe 11th with 178. And Justin Haley in 12th with 175. And with a 12-car playoff in the Xfinity Series, this is a pretty good-looking bunch. As I look down toward the 10, 11, 12 spots between Nemechek, Briscoe, and Haley, only separated by 4 points, those three are going to flip-flop a lot for the rest of the season.
I do agree, and I just look at Chase Briscoe. I mean, yeah, he's sneaking his way in the top 12 along with Ryan Sieg and then, of course, Justin Haley. But I think probably the real race is going to be between 12th and 13th because if you look at it, we all saw what Ross Chastain could do last year when he was driving for Chip Ganassi, and then, of course, now. He's driving, I think, 2 more races for Colleague Racing, and then, of course, for JD Motorsports. But I don't know. I think 12th and 13th is going to be pretty close, and I think those guys will flip flop back and forth between now and then the start of the playoffs.
That is a huge cat, Jiminy Christmas.
My
for
cat,
you audio only folk. Oh my God! If you're listening on audio only, go to the YouTube and check out this big cat.
My cat Phil. I love him.
Okay.
He's the man.
All right. Well, speaking of the man, let's go to the picks, shall we? I took Kyle Busch as my lock. He finished first. I took Justin Allgaier as my sleeper. He finished 12th. That's a finish at 13, inside the top 10 with a 6.5. Was not good enough because Corey took Kyle Busch as his lock. He finished first. He took Christopher Bell as his sleeper. He finished third with a finish of 4 and an actual finish of 2. Corey, for the first time in several weeks, since the opening race in Daytona, you've taken more than 2 points. You now have 3 points on the week, 1 from the truck, 2 from the Xfinity Series. I'm proud of you today.
Thank you.
And you're welcome, as well it should be. Now, again, we're going to talk about rerunning. Kyle Busch went out and ran 3 races this weekend. He collected 2 victories. He pulled the slot machine. It came up 7 FedEx because Denny Hamlin took his number 11 to victory lane in the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500. I got to see the 3rd stage of the race. Unfortunately, I had to go to a memorial service on Sunday for a good friend, Tyler. Godspeed, my friend. So only saw the 3rd stage. They showed some video packages, greatest hits, what happened earlier in the race. I really didn't miss much, but what I saw of the race, the lead changed several times. I got to see names up front that I hadn't seen up front in a long time. to watch Daniel Suarez and Eric Almirola just weave their way through the field. Almirola looked like he had a rocket, and come toward the end, he lost a little bit in those last 30 laps. But what he lost, Clint Bowyer seemed to dig out and really gave Denny Hamlin a run for his money toward the end of the race.
See, I think I look at it, and not only that, I would say that this was pretty much a statement race for Stewart-Haas Racing because if you look at it, all 4 of their guys finished in the top 10 this weekend. I mean, of course, Clint Bowyer came up short, winning the race after what happened and so forth. But watching this race on Sunday, I mean, yeah, not a lot happened, but of course, like the racing in Texas, I thought, okay, it was good. It was good from what I expected, with this new package and everything else. But, excuse me. But I did see that there were some guys that ended up, making some pitch strategies right near the end, and I think there was one part where I think Denny Hamlin and Clint Boyer, those guys came down the same time that they were supposed to pit, and then of course I think Hamlin beat the 14 out for the win, and not only on pit road, but that was pretty much the winning move on Sunday. But one question I want to say to myself is, how do you come back from 2 pit penalties to win the race? And let's talk about what happened with Denny Hamlin. First time, he ends up missing pit road, comes back around, goes down pit road, boom, he gets busted for speeding. Then, of course, laps go ticking away, and then we go down to, of course, Hamlin gets a good pit stop. He comes out, and what happened was, boom, then he gets penalized for an uncontrolled tire. So Hamlin had to play the come from behind win or the come from behind twice in the race on Sunday. And I think to myself, there's no way that a driver can come back from 2 pit penalties to win the race. I'm sorry, but that doesn't happen. But the 11 just pretty much proved that, these guys can beat the odds. And it's also funny, too, is that we now have 3 drivers that have won 2 races this season. And I think if you look at it, I think the only teams that are going to be tough to beat this season are definitely going to be Joe Gibbs and Team Penske.
Oh, if you look at it, they're the only ones with wins. Penske has wins with 2 wins with Brad Keselowski, 1 with Joey Logano. On the other side, you have JGR, 2 wins by Kyle Busch, 2 wins with Denny Hamlin. Nobody else is coming close. One of the things that I know we had talked about going over and over and over again was this was supposed to be the year of Ford domination. Everybody talked about the Fords. You look at this top 10 this week, 3 Toyotas, 4 Fords, and 3 Chevys. That's pretty balanced. I think everybody's learning the new aero package. I think the Fords, while very strong and always giving a really good run, it's not so much the equipment or the model, it's the guy behind the wheel.
And of course, not to mention, Ford's picking up from where they left off a year ago.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing you mentioned about Stewart-Haas Racing, Boyer and Suarez 2nd and 3rd, Almirola and Harvick 7th and 8th. There hasn't been too many times this year where you see all of your drivers not only just inside the top 10, but inside the top 15. I think Stewart-Haas is quietly rising, whereas last year they just came out of the box and beat the snot out of people.
Yeah.
They're not exactly waiting in the weeds. They are strong. It's just a matter of time. Maybe that time being Bristol this weekend, where Stewart-Haas is going to visit victory lane for the first time this year. Just a matter of who at this point, because all 4 of them are running. All right, I'm going to say the team is running great, and I have a comment on who's not running great. As I come down this list, talking about Denny Hamlin winning the race, Clint Boyer 2nd, Daniel Suarez 3rd, Eric Jones 4th. Jimmy Johnson comes home in 5th. We'll talk about him in a minute. William Byron 6th, Eric Almirola 7th. Mr. Invisible, Kevin Harvick, is 8th. Look, man, here's a guy that last year, by this time, already had 3 races won. And I just don't see a lot out of him this year. The cars are good to great. They're not great to winning. I've yet to hear him either on happy hours or in print or on the post-race interview saying, I had a car that could win. But that's just my statement on that. Kurt Busch comes home in 9th, and Kyle Busch, by the way, if you do not believe in the power of prayer, I prayed this weekend to get Kyle Busch out of the lead, and it worked. So remember that. It's on Facebook. You can find it. Other notables, Ryan Newman of the qualifying tragedy finished 11th. Martin Truex 12th. Chase Elliott 13th. Joey Logano 17th. Alex Bowman 18th. Ryan Preece 22nd. Bubba Wallace 23rd. Matt DiBenedetto 26th. Moving down the list, nobody's favorite driver, B.J. McLeod 31st. Daniel Hemrick 33rd. Brad Keselowski 36th. Ryan Blaney 37th. And Kyle Larson last place 39th. Wow. A lot of great stories this weekend and a lot of sad stories this weekend, so we may as well start with my sad. I took Ryan Blaney. He had a great car. He led 45 laps, and then I believe it was a tire issue in the 3rd stage that just took him out of contention. Yeah. And then they roll him behind the wall because something else broke, and his day was finito. So that's my sad. My happy, guys, write it down. I'm starting to get a little nicer with the happies and sad. I'm going to take Jimmy Johnson. 5th place finish, 60 laps led. Just a really good run for Jimmy Johnson. really, for him, makes a statement that says, guys, I'm not dead yet. He's going to find his way to victory lane. I think it's going to come, like you said, probably around the Dover, if not a little bit further up. I could see him winning a Pocono this year. He's won there before. He can do it again.
Quite possibly. I'd say my happy. I'm going to go with Daniel Suarez. I mean, for this kid to come home third in the 41 car, very impressive. I mean, great run for him. I'm really hoping that this team can perform pretty well, and not to mention get that first win sometime soon. My sad, I'm going to have to go with Kyle Larson. I mean, as much as I was expecting him, to run up front, and as much as I expect them to be in the top 10, top 5, this team can't catch a break. I just really wish, and not to mention we're going to Bristol this weekend where, Larson's won there before at Xfinity, but I really want to see this team perform pretty well.
And it's the first time in a long time where we're multiple races into the season that I don't see Kyle Larson's name in the top 10 in points. Again, season's young. This kid can bounce back, but much like we talked last year about seeing Jimmy Johnson waiting between 10th and 15th, seeing Kyle Larson in 12th, it just doesn't seem right. There's just something wrong with it.
Right.
Dynamite drop in, kid. All right, let's go to the points and then the picks. Then we're going to talk about one of my favorite races of the year, Bristol, baby, the last great Coliseum. Kyle Busch leads the way in first with 310 and 2 wins. Denny Hamlin second, 302 with 2 wins. Mr. Invisible, Kevin Harvick third, 277. Joey Logano fourth, 275 with a win. Eric Almirola, surprise, surprise. Fifth place, 245. Brad Keselowski sixth, 237 with 2 wins. Martin Truex Jr. 8th with 232. Ryan Blaney 8th. I'm sorry, did I say Martin Truex 7th? Ryan Blaney 8th with 219. Yeah. Chase Elliott 9th with 218. Kurt Busch rounds out the top 10 at 213. Clint Boyer 11th with 192. There's Kyle Larson in 12th with 185. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 183 and 13th. Daniel Suarez 180 and 14th. Jimmy Johnson 15th with 176. And Eric Jones, I'm going to talk about him briefly for a second, is 16th, the cutoff at 173. The story that I read this week is that this weekend, if Eric Jones wins the Bristol race, the Cup race, he is going to donate $1 million to Children's Miracle Hospitals, which is a great charity. I've done walkathons for them in the past. I think that's a great move and a great PR thing for young Eric Jones.
That'd be awesome, too.
So the under the bubble guys just underneath trying to break their way in. Austin Dillon 17th with 160. William Byron 18th with 153. And in a virtual tie, 19th and 20th, Alex Bowman 19th and Ryan Newman 20th, both with 152. And now to the picks. Corey took Kevin Harvick as his lock. He finished 8th. He took Kyle Larson as his sleeper. He finished 39th. And he took Daniel Hemrick as his hopeful. He finished 33rd. That's a total of 80. Divide that by 3. Corey, you finished this week in the Cup Series with a 23.3.
All right.
Not your best run. It was a Bubba Wallace week if there ever was one. Mine wasn't great, but it was good enough. I took Martin Truex Jr. as my lock. He finished 12th. Eric Almirola finished 7th as my sleeper. Kevin Harvick as my hopeful finished 8th. Total of 27. A finish of 9. We split the week in points 3-3. So as of right now, the point total is 26-12. Still with me, but Corey, you broke that streak. 2 pointless weeks. And now, moving right along, you're back in the saddle again, my man.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Now, I flipped this yellow notebook page to a clean page that has but one word on it. It says Bristol. Tell them where, when, and why we're watching the series run this week.
Okay, so Saturday we have the Xfinity Series, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on FS1. And then, of course, on Sirius XM Channel 90, which, of course, you got PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Home of Rusty Wallace.
Yes. So this Saturday is going to be one of the 4 races for the Xfinity Series Dash for Cash Series. So what that means for the Dash for Cash is you won't see any Cup drivers running this weekend because the Cup drivers are not allowed to run any of the Dash for Cash races or the playoffs and so forth. So basically, you're going to see a couple Xfinity regulars, and then, of course, one I think that's making his debut and so forth. So reading down, you have the 00 Cole Custer. You have, let's see, you got Cole Custer. You have Garrett Smithley, Michael Annett, Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Justin Allgaier, Gray Golding, Zane Smith back in the 8 car for Junior Motorsports this weekend. Noah Gragson, Justin Haley, Kyle Weatherman in the 17 car. And then this one's going to be interesting is none other than Harrison Burton going to be driving the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing this weekend, which, of course, it was announced that Harrison's going to be running 8 races in the 18 car for Joe Gibbs in the Xfinity Series this season. On the flip side, you have Brandon Jones, Christopher Bell, Austin Cindric, John Hunter Nemechek, Joey Gase, Jeff Green, Ryan Sieg, Chad Fincham, Jeremy Clements, Tibby Hill, Mike Harmon, Alex LeBay, and, of course, last but not least, you have Chase Briscoe.
All right. So who would you like as your lock, and who are you taking as your sleeper?
So let's see. My lock for this weekend, this one's going to be kind of easy, very simple, but I'm going to go with Christopher Bell. I mean, I think this is going to be a race where, this kid knows how to run on the short tracks and the half miles. And if you kind of look at it, Bristol, it's kind of like running a dirt race almost. And I think Bell's going to be the one to beat come Saturday. My sleeper, I'm going to have to go with his teammate, Harrison Burton. Now, he's making his debut on Saturday, and I really want to see how this kid can do in the 18 car, not only this weekend, but also for 8 races this year, too.
Well, for all the same reasons in my notes, and they're right here, I took Christopher Bell as my lock. Where we're going to differ, after watching some really great runs recently, and you said it best when we broke down the Xfinity from this past week in Texas, I'm going to go with Ryan Sieg. He seems to be on an upswing. Things are going his way. I think he's going to do really well come the Xfinity race this Saturday at Bristol.
I do agree, too.
All right, so moving on to the Cup Series at Bristol, the last great Coliseum. Where, when, how, why, and what channel?
Okay, so for Sunday, you had the, I believe, Food City 500. It is this Sunday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, also on FS1 as well. And then, of course, on Sirius XM Channel 90, and, of course, PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Which is where I'll be listening to it because I will be on my way to a very exciting going on this weekend. I will tell you about it at the end of the show.
And home of Rusty Wallace.
Home of Rusty Wallace. Thank you. I missed that. I'm going to have to dig out my Rusty Wallace hat and wear it on the show next week.
Definitely.
All right.
So, let's see. So you have Bristol winner Kurt Busch. You have Bristol winner Brad Keselowski. You have Austin Dillon. You have Kevin Harvick, Ryan Newman, Daniel Hemrick, Chase Elliott, Eric Almirola. Bristol winner Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Ty Dillon, Clint Boyer, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., multiple Bristol time winner Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Eric Jones, Paul Menard, Joey Logano, who's won at Bristol before, William Byron, Corey LaJoie, Michael McDowell, Matt Tiff, Chris Buescher, David Reagan, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Preece, Jimmy Johnson, Gray Galding, Alex Bowman, and, of course, Matt DiBenedetto.
Okay. Do you want to start?
Yes, I would.
Go ahead.
So my lock on this one, I would love to say Kyle Busch because the fact that I would want to say Kyle Busch because he's won at Bristol before, but my lock, I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. This is a racetrack, Kyle has run really good at in the past years, and I know he's won a couple races in Xfinity, and he's had some good runs in the Cup car here before, but I think this is going to be the race on Sunday that Larson breaks that winless drought and then can get the victory lane this weekend. My sleeper for this, I'm going to have to go with Ryan Blaney. And even though last year he dominated, I think, like the first half or so, and then he got caught up in an accident. I really think, the Fords, even though they are good this year, but I really want to see Ryan Blaney perform pretty well. And then, of course, my hopeful on this one, I'm going to have to go with the guy. Oh, geez, I'm already stuck at this point. But anyways, so my hopeful, I'm going to have to go Clint Boyer.
Boyer, okay.
Yeah.
All right. For the first time this season, I'm going to break out the M word that I used to use a lot last season. Momentum, momentum, momentum. And these three guys that I took so off the beaten path as to my usual picks. You can do all the studying you want at Bristol. It's all about speed and avoiding some of this bumping and banging and rubbing the wall. If there's one guy I want to see win this weekend that isn't the number 4 of Kevin Harvick, I'm going to take Eric Jones as my lock. Really great run this past week at Texas. And again, that specter of donating $1 million to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. I would just love to see that. For the work I've done with them, my job does a lot of work with Children's Miracle Network. I'm just going to pick Eric Jones from my heart. My sleeper, William Byron. I like the upward swing that William Byron's been on as of late. And again, another great run for this young guy this past weekend at Texas. If I look, 15 laps he led. So he was out there. He found his way out front, and he did the job. So there you go. Wow, guys, my hopeful. I thought long and hard about this one. And when you talk about momentum, you talk about the last few weeks, all the winners aside, the one name that kept popping up in my head was the man from El Cajon, California, Mr. Jimmy Johnson, is going to be my hopeful. Yes, I said that in English. I said it out loud, and now it is recorded for all posterity that Chris wants to see Jimmy Johnson get to victory lane this weekend at Bristol. And right about now, producer Eddie Focus is either smiling or wanting to stab me in the eye. So that's about it. So do you have anything to pimp, plug, or otherwise push upon to the people?
All right, so keep following us on the C+J Speedway review every week. So follow us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and of course, get the latest notifications and so forth. Facebook, of course, look us up, like us, whatever. C+J Speedway review on Instagram. We are at CJ Speedway, and then of course on Twitter we are at CJ_Speedway. And then of course, don't forget to follow the Rowdy Burns Nation. So follow me at Rowdy51 Racer. That is my Twitter name for this week. And of course, not to mention, May 24th, I have my Memorial Day extravaganza go-karting event coming up this year. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited, and I think it's going to be great. So for the races this weekend, I'm not going to be able to watch them. I'm going to be on a men's church retreat from Thursday to Sunday, but I have the DVRs. I have the DVR rolling for this weekend, so definitely I can't wait to watch them when I get back. And of course, I don't know if you know this, but in case you guys are wondering, I think I have myself a new obsession right now, and I think it's like so addicting that it's kind of too funny like to say this, but there it is.
Jolly Ranchers.
Yes. This is my new addiction right now, and this is my new obsession, and I love sucking these down like it's no tomorrow. And I would probably,
that's what she said.
I would just probably say this, like, if we ended up having like a sponsor, I would definitely love Jolly Rancher as a sponsor. They would just give us like as many as we want, Well,
they'd have to give them to you because I don't eat a lot of candy. So have at it, kid. Be all you.
Yes.
I will be able to see some of the Xfinity race on Saturday. Saturday is the Eternal Flame and the Goddess of Love's birthday, so we'll be out and about running around doing things. I'm going to try to catch a little bit of the race. Sunday, I will listen to the first part of the race, and when I pull into the beautiful, wonderful establishment known as The Deck in Westbrook, Connecticut, the owner, Tim, has already told me while I'm setting up the rig and while we are waiting for the main event, he'll have Bristol on a TV for me. Because this Sunday at the Deck in Westbrook, Connecticut, the Loki and Jabroni Show and the Deck proud to bring you WrestleMania 35, the granddaddy of them all. We have raffle for prizes, of which include a very limited AJ Styles action figure and autographed poster of former WWF two-time champion Bob Backlund, lots of other odds and ends. Plus, we're doing a 50-50 raffle. All the money raised from the 50-50 raffle, obviously, if you don't know how that works, you get all the money, you split it in half. The winner takes half. The other half usually goes somewhere. This money is going to go to New England Donor Services in the memory of Samantha Jo Clark. And we're hoping to change some lives for the better with that. So, again, it's a good time. If you know anybody that likes sports entertainment, friends, family, relatives, some guy at work you don't even like, send them to the deck in Westbrook, Connecticut. Tell them the Loki and Jabroni Show sent you. And as an added bonus, Loki has challenged and said, if you show up wearing Loki and Jabroni merchandise or even a T-shirt that you just wrote our names on, Loki's going to buy you a drink at the venue. So come on out, have a good time. Even if you hate wrestling, come out and show your support to the Focus Digital Network. We can talk a little racing while the race is on. If there's a break in the action, I'll talk racing with anybody. Just don't talk politics, not on WrestleMania Sunday, man. The only politics I want to hear is, why did that guy get jobbed out to this guy or whatever? It doesn't matter. It's always a good time. Corey, you're going to have to come out to one of these events sometime.
Definitely so.
Also, on the docket somewhere coming up in the near future, we've already talked about Joey Ternulo coming back, but where I saw the third stage of the race this weekend was the beautiful Azarju Mini Mansion in Montville, Connecticut, and Mark has cordially invited the C+J Speedway Review back at any time they wish to do a live broadcast from the Mini Mansion, and I'm thinking to myself, because that's what I do from here, there, and again, I'm going to be seeing Joey Walnuts himself sometime very soon. Usually see him about 2-3 times a week. Maybe we put the three-headed monster and have Joey come down, sit in with us, and have a good time.
I like that.
Live and in living color, baby. That's how we do it here on the show. Programming note for those of you who actually follow both shows. If you missed it, last night was the last broadcast with Michael Loki Smith for about 2.5 months. He's got some things he has to tend to. Will not be with us for the next 10 weeks. However, sitting in is one of my favorite human beings on earth, the godfather, one of the two godfathers of my daughter. He loves hockey, he loves music, he loves just about everything I do except for racing. His name is Chris Lynch, also known as Strikers McLynch to you Facebook folk, and he is going to be a very welcome addition, sitting in the big chair while Loki tends to some business. So the more things change, the more things stay the same. You've heard him on movie episodes, comic episodes, the Great Van Halen debate, and now he's going to be here for 10 straight weeks doing his due diligence. Also in the works, if you're a Loki and Jabroni fan, Joey Casada is going to be returning sometime in the next 2 weeks. He of this fantastic book, Start With a Dream. He was featured just a month and a half ago. He's going to come back and talk to us a little more about some of his ventures and what he thought of WrestleMania, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, Joey is attending WrestleMania in New York this year.
Nice.
Yeah, good for him. So on that note, do you have any parting words before we ask for the famous two?
So I don't know if you know this, but I guess Austin Wayne Self, he was suspended by NASCAR for failing the substance abuse policy.
Yes.
And of course, so that's pretty much the reason why he had different drivers that were running in this truck the whole entire first few races of the season. But Self was found violated Section 12.1, actions determined of the stock car racing, Section 19, NASCAR substance abuse policy of the 2019 NASCAR rulebook, according to the NASCAR penalty report. Self has made 66 career starts in the Gander Outdoor Truck Series from 2016 to 2019. Including 3 this season. He has 1 career top 5 finish, 5 career top 10s, including a 9th place this year at Daytona, driving the AM Racing 22 truck machine. So Self has to complete the Road to Recovery program, which I think he will, he's definitely will. And for the Self racing team or the AM Racing team, they expect him to be back in the truck series pretty soon.
Certainly wish him well. Don't like to see guys get popped for a drug test, but again, you do it to yourself, no pun intended. And it's just, you're out there and you're driving a vehicle. It's not unlike driving on the roadways in your town. You can't do it impaired. And the more I hear, and NASCAR has really been good over the span of many, many years of not having too many guys get popped on the substance abuse policy, which is a plus in their favor. But going back to the Jeremy Mayfields of the world who said, "Oh, it's just cough syrup with codeine." No, dude, it was meth. But that's another story for another time. Um, the road to recovery has worked. Worked for Spencer Gallagher, although Spencer Gallagher no longer racing, and again, don't know why. Man, that kid was on the upswing. But big ups to Austin Wayne Self for enrolling in the road to recovery. Wish him nothing but the best. Can't wait to see him on the track whenever he returns. And that's about all I can say. So, with that, the two most famous words in C&J Speedway review history, I throw it to Mr. Corey Huffnagel.
Good night.
There was a song I wanted to sing, and I can't remember what it was. Not that goofy
chicken on the chicken in the corn.
Okay, I had this song in my head. And I was like, I'm gonna sing it tonight, and I completely I spaced it. So no big deal. We'll get over it. So now all we need is like the After Hours Jones for Eddie to hit the button, and I can see him. There he is.
Yeah, Eddie.
Do you see him? Do you see him? I see him. See that real bad haircut right there? Yeah, he's rubbing it. Now he's rubbing his head.
Yeah, I see some movement.
Yep. Well, that's not always a good thing. We can't see what's going on underneath his eyebrows. Movement may not be a good thing.
Hey, well, we're at it. We have some added bonus coverage.
Yay! Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So, with the bonus coverage, whenever it cuts off YouTubers,
right.
Tough. A friend of mine was asking me the other day, and we referenced it tonight, the Rock and Roll 400, the old Richmond race sponsored by Chevrolet. You think they should bring that back?
I love to see him bring it back. I really do want to see him bring it back. That would be pretty cool.
It was always fun, and for years I wanted to see a KISS car, and I just got the added bonus that year that it was Kevin Harvick running the KISS car. It was a gorgeous-looking car. Sterling Marlin had done one a few years earlier to promote some tour that they were doing. But that's Sterling Marlin, This was Kevin Harvick, and to see some of the cars like the Rusty Wallace Elvis car. I know somebody had a Sugar Ray car at one point. Even Gretchen Wilson got in on the gig and had a car.
Now, that one was pretty cool. I love that one.
I'm trying to remember, I think it was Jimmy Johnson with the very sleek-looking black Goo Goo Dolls car. And it lends itself well because a lot of these people that go to the races, it's not, a bunch of Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson people anymore. You have Metallica fans, you have Slipknot fans, you have Maroon 5 fans. You have all these fantastic artists that people in the crowd are listening to on a regular basis. How cool would it be, this year with, for the next 3 years, KISS saying goodbye, Ozzy Osbourne saying goodbye. The Rolling Stones are having issues right now. To see cars with those iconic bands on them, or even go back so far as a band that maybe no longer exists, no longer plays, a Led Zeppelin car, a Beatles car. I'd even be happy with a car with the Monkees.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, little did we all know, and I didn't know it until he passed away. Peter Tork from the Monkees lived not far from where I work.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, when he passed away at the Middlesex, I think it was Middlesex or Manchester Hospital, one or the other, not far from each other. But I'm like, wow, he lived in the state for like 25 years.
It's unbelievable.
And Eddie can tell you a story that not far from where he lives, Carol Spinney, he of Big Bird fame, lives not far from him.
Wow.
So it's crazy, when celebrities. I lived in Ocala, Florida for a short spell, and would see John Travolta and Kelly Preston in the Winn-Dixie. You could see Reba McEntire walking her dog. I mean, there was a Martina McBride who I never got to see, although I did contemplate going up to her gate and screaming how much I love her. I knew where her house was. It was on the way toward my brother's house. So, it's really weird. And I know the good friend of our show, the Loki and Jabroni show, Pitbull #1, Gary Wolf from ECW, lives in Tampa. And he keeps saying, hey, brother, when you come down, you and the girl, you got to come hang by the pool, drink with me and my lady, which is in the plans. But in Tampa, you have just so many celebrities, Gary was telling me. You'd be amazed. Just go stand in the grocery store for an hour, and see, whomever. Tampa's just one of those places where celebrities gravitate to.
And it's funny because what was I going to say? So,
well, you live up there by the old Aaron Hernandez estate, right?
Yeah, I lived in Massachusetts, and yes, originally home to Aaron Hernandez, and of course, all that stuff and so forth. But did you know that? Did you know that there's a couple of celebrities in that used to live in Massachusetts? I'm actually gonna pull that up on the Google machine right now. And
look at you using the Google machine. You guys are making me proud.
Yes, this is why.
It's nice to. I'm waiting for you to use the word Jones at the end of a sentence. Like, I got a text message from Chris Lynch the other day in regard to doing the show next week and beyond for 10 weeks. And he said something about it's going to be Drunken Fun Time Jones. And I was like, look at you using Jones. I'm so proud of you.
Yes. On the Google Jones, if you kind of look at it.
Oh, God, now he's throwing Google Jones out there.
Yes, of course, and so forth.
I find it hard to use Jones on this show only because we have Eric Jones. So I don't want to confuse anybody. It's like, hey, winner Jones. Jones didn't win. Hamlin did. No, sit down before you hurt yourself. Don't want to confuse anybody.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to confuse anybody as well. But did you know that? John Cena is from Massachusetts?
West Newbury.
Yep, from West Newbury.
I did know that. I did in the past. I was a very big wrestling fan. And before a certain gentleman killed his family and himself, I was huge into it. I happened to be driving back from Loudon and crossed, I think we were going down, not 95. Help me with this. It runs through Salem. Because I always
I think that's 93.
93, thank you, because I always make the turn off to my favorite liquor store in the world, Bunghole Liquors. If anybody wants to get me a birthday gift, go there and get me a T-shirt.
On Lowell Street in Peabody.
I got it in the Bunghole. That was my favorite shirt for a long time. And I happened to be passing by the sign, West Newbury, next exit. So I pulled over, I took a picture of it, and I sent it to the editor of the website I used to work for. And he sent me a message back. He says, what, are you stalking Cena? I'm like, no, I just want to take a picture of the sign letting you know that, yes, there is a real place called West Newbury, Massachusetts. Did you know that he went to Springfield College?
No.
No, I did.
Here's a fun one. You know Steve Carell?
The Office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that he's from Concord, Massachusetts?
I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh,
did you know? Go ahead.
Did you know that Rob Zombie, he's from Haverhill?
I did not know that.
Yep. Haverhill, Massachusetts.
I tell people quite often that the three best things to come out of Boston ever are the Celtics, the Bruins, and Godsmack.
And the Wahlbergs.
Well, I said the best things. They're a decent thing. Although Angela has said she wants to go to a Wahlburgers, so I figure, you get only so many opportunities to try things for the first time. It'd be a good opportunity sometime this summer to swing into a Wahlburgers. You never know when Donnie or Mark's in there flipping and putting the lettuce on your bun. Or God, that sounded so terrible. Yeah. It's too bad you have the men's retreat this weekend. You could have been a fantastic guest host at WrestleMania. You could have picked the raffle winners. Let's turn it over to Corey Huffnagel. You get all the hate tweets for not picking some kid's name.
And not to mention, at my church in a couple of weeks, we're having a reverse raffle coming up too.
What? Okay. See, what is a reverse raffle?
So
they give you money, and I don't know.
So basically, it's kind of like bingo almost. So like you have all these like numbers from like 1 to like I don't know 200 or whatever it is, and you have to circle like the number that like that they don't want. Well, you don't want them to pick because let's say you circle like 42 or something, and then they call out 42, you're out. And then so what you do is you have to cross out all the numbers and everything, and then when it gets down to like the final 5, whatever, then like I think it's like 5 or 4 people have to go up, and then and then all of the 4 people, they come up and they like, and then that's when you decide, okay, like, do you want to split the money? Do you want to keep the money? Like, what do you want to do? And then it's pretty much like, you cross down the numbers and then there's only one winner that comes out of it. And it's funny enough because, so last year I was in the running. Not only I was in the running, but my dad was also in the running as well. So he had a couple tickets, I think, for like a couple of my dad's friends from work. And then, of course, my dad's boss. And then my mom's mom. My mom on my grandma on my mom's side, excuse me. But so I was out early and we were going down. And I think before then, we're crossing out the numbers and everything. And my dad was still in the running. And so my dad was still in the running with my grandmom's ticket. And I thought to myself, like, wait a minute, he's not going to try and win this, is he? And sure enough, my grandma on my mom's side won the raffle last year.
Nice.
Amazing. And and the prize is that you win $5,000 too. And this is where my example of where you have 4 people come up and then that's when they decide to split the money if it comes down to that scenario.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah,
see if we can get Eddie back in the picture and close this out for the night. YouTubers, if you're still watching, thank you for sticking with us. If you're watching this after the fact, thank you for watching and listening to our shenanigans. It's an excuse to ramble. It's also an excuse to finish off this beer before I go to bed. And, I think this week by not picking Kevin Harvick, he'll come up and win the race, and I'll be upset that I didn't pick Kevin Harvick. So, we'll go from there.
Well, I think if you look at it, I think Ford's picking up from where they left off, and I don't know. I think with Bristol this weekend, it's 500 laps. I mean, anything can happen, and as long as you have, good fenders, and as long as you have good brakes during the whole race, I think you got a good shot.
You ever want to torture yourself?
No.
No, trust me on this one. Take a day. You get a day off. Maybe Miss Chelsea's at work and Pornhub's not working. Sit in front of a.
You said that one live. I can't believe that one.
That's all right. It's all good. Sit down in front of your favorite video gaming console, and I've done this a couple times in the last, say, 18, 19 years. On Bristol weekend, sit down and play your favorite NASCAR game and set it to 100% and play all 500 laps of Bristol. And then when you're done, you'll be like, I'm setting it back to 25%. I'm happy running 165 laps. All is good in the neighborhood. I'm just letting it alone.
I could never do that.
Me and my buddy did that as a goof one time. And you know what? It's Bristol weekend. Maybe we should play. We'll each play 500 laps. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Let's do it. Well, we flip a coin to see who starts, and my buddy won. So I'm watching him play, having a couple pop tops right there, and comes to my turn. My head's a little, woo. And I didn't do too bad. I finished third. But boy, it is tough when you think about it. And those simulations that they have, the NASCAR video games are really good quality. You really get a feel for what 500 laps at Bristol really means. And now this is before stage racing. So you're just going and going and going and going. Something happens, caution, it immediately, fast forwards, you're in the line. Do you pit? Do you not pit? Oh, man. It is rough. And if you want to have some real fun, turn off the caution flags, because as crashes are going ahead of you and you spin that 15-second lap and you come back and cars are starting to try to clear, what a log jam and a basic, I can say it. Eddie will edit it out in post. It's a shit show, to be honest. Exactly. You might want to text him. I think he's dying.
But actually, another interesting Massachusetts fact. You remember Chris Evans from Captain America?
Yes.
Did you know that he's from Sudbury?
No.
Yep. Born and raised in Sudbury. Was a graduate at Lincoln Sudbury Regional High School.
Aha. Did not know that.
Let's see. Who else can I think of? Oh, you remember the show Malcolm in the Middle, right?
Yes.
So this is funny because The kid that plays Dewey on the show, he's from Worcester.
Love Worcester. Spent a lot of time there in my youth.
Eric Perez Sullivan.
And former Red Sox catcher Rich Gedman, I believe, is also from Worcester.
Nice.
Number 10. He was like the fattest catcher ever. But boy, could that guy throw. Wow. And I'm not a Red Sox fan. I'm saying that completely objective. Eddie!
Eddie, what's taking so long? Actually, I like this.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. The YouTubers get a little something extra, and Eddie gets extra time.